Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and I have another card in my Christmas in July series to share with you. Hard to believe that there's only one left after this one, but let's jump right in. So I'm going to create this really cute wobbling reindeer A2 card, and I'm going to cut down my mat. You guys do know, if you've been with me for a hot minute, that I love to mat my cards. I just think that it gives it a more finished look, so that's why I tend to do it. And I did cut it down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 sized base. And I also have a piece of HammerMill cardstock here. This I'm going to trim down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my mat, so that you get this really thin layered look that looks, I like it. It looks quite pretty, I think. And then I'm going to blend on some colors to my HammerMill panel. So I brought out my Waffle Flower Spotlight Circle Stencil, which is what you see here. And there are some really nice lines in the background that kind of give you an idea of how to line it up. The problem, though, is that I generally tend to not want my circle in the center of the card. So I usually have to kind of eyeball where I want them to be regardless. So that's what you see me doing here. And then I just adhered it with some low-tack tape to make sure that it didn't shift as I was blending on my colors. So I did choose two colors I thought felt kind of wintry, at least they do to me. Also, Tumbled Glass is one of my favorite blues in the Distress line. So I used Tumbled Glass and Shaded Lilac in the Distress Oxides. And I'm just going to blend those on with my domed foams into the background. There's no real rhyme or reason why I chose these two colors. You could do a more traditional color palette if you wanted to, like red and green, or darker. You could have gone like a navy and like something a little bit more moody. But I chose to go a little bit more bright and kind of vibrant because I wanted that coloring behind my reindeer to kind of pop out on its own. So that's kind of why I chose these colors. But really, you could put any colors here and it would look stunning. And then I did have to flick on a little bit of Perfect Pearls. I did this while my stencil was still on so that they stayed within that circle shape, so that they weren't all over the card. I think that just gives it a more, I want to say elegant, although this isn't really that kind of card, but it kind of just gives it a more, I'm going to say elegant look, just because it kind of stays within that circle. So all your kind of color and mess is within that circle, and it just kind of looks neat. And then I brought out, this is a Simon Says stamp that I got, I want to say in my mystery box last year, because I like to buy the boxes that they do for, I want to say Boxing Day, but it's Black Friday. I like to buy those boxes, and I believe this stamp came in there, and it was a stamp and die set, and I hadn't used it, and I thought it would be just super cute for Christmas in July. I mean, it's a little reindeer wearing a scarf. This would be a perfect winter card as well. I'm choosing to make it a Christmas card, but I just thought it was really cute. And I did stamp it in some Memento Tuxedo black ink because that is a Copic safe ink, and this is a piece of HammerMill cardstock as well because it is also Copic friendly, so I did kind of choose that. Now, you saw me line up the piece of paper several times because I'm gonna restamp this. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that usually does not go well for me, but we're gonna try it again because, I mean, practice, first of all. Practice makes perfect, or practice makes progress. And because I find that when I Copic color, the black kind of starts to fade a little bit if I touch it with one of the markers. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't like look bad. It's not a very vibrant black. And I wanted the stamped image to be more vibrant. So I am going to restamp this, and you guys are going to see how that goes here when we finish the coloring. So I did choose to use my Copics for this, and I am a little rusty with my Copic coloring. So bear with me. My blending's not that great, but honestly, I think that he turned out super cute regardless. So I'm okay with it. But the Copic markers I chose to use for his body that you see me using here, I did use E13, E25, and E27, and I like to go lightest to darkest and then darkest to lightest again through. I find that I get the best control with my blend that way, but I know lots of people who, can lay down the darkest shadows first. So completely up to you as to how you like to do it. This is just how I find I have the most control, and it makes me the most comfortable with the markers. And then I used E49 for the hooves and his nose because I thought that would be super cute. You could use a black. I chose to use a dark brown just because I find that it gives you a little more dimension because there's so many browns in this design. And then I did also use R22 for the little cheek circles to give them a really rosy look. I mean, this could be a lady too. I'm saying him. It could be a lady. And then I chose to do the ears in the same body color. Originally, I thought I might color them a different color, but I chose to just go back through again with that E13, E25, and E27. And I do try to show you the caps as well so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I like to do a bit of a flicking motion. I feel like that kind of gives you more of a movement to the coloring, so it kind of makes it more alive looking. You guys don't quote me on the words that I use, because sometimes that's how it feels to me, though that maybe that's not the right word, but it just kind of feels like it gives it a little extra texture and a little more interest. And you guys know that I do really love texture in my coloring. And then for the body and the face, and I believe the horns as well, I used or antlers, I guess. I used E50, E21, and E33. Not a color combo you normally would put together, though their numbers aren't close together. But I felt like it really worked. And you're going to see it here when we kind of finish it. I wanted a little bit of a lighter brown set for this. So, I mean, my reindeer is mostly brown, obviously. But I really wanted to have variation in the browns so that it wasn't flat looking. And that is something that I struggle with a little bit with my Copic coloring, just because I tend to shy away from darker colors. I tend to shy away from adding dark shadows because it intimidates me. So I do 3 color blends just because I feel more comfortable with them. You could do 4, you could do 2, totally personal preference. I tend towards the 3 colors because I find that gives me the most control, and it makes it the easiest for me to kind of see what colors I'm laying down, and then you see all 3. So you can see that once again I went through, I laid down a full wash of my lightest color, and then I go over with my mid-tone to add some dimension where I think it needs it, and then I go in with my darkest color and add that as well. So I'm going to do that again here with the scarf. I chose to go with purples. You guys know purple's one of my favorite colors. It's probably my favorite color. So I used V15, V17, and V09, and those are the colors that I chose to use for his scarf, or her scarf, the scarf. And I'm gonna kind of give it an ombre effect. I kind of felt like the scarf, if I owned a purple scarf, this is the purple scarf I wish I owned, because I love how it turned out. The scarf is probably one of my favorite things I colored on this little reindeer, just because it's so pretty. And I love, oh, I'm so sorry, I just hit the microphone. I love purple. So I did have a lot of fun coloring the scarf, and you guys are going to see that I do add a little bit of white detailing as well. And I do try to use my darkest tone to also create shadows where I think that they would be. So on the reindeer, you can see that I added a shadow underneath the scarf, because of course the scarf, to me, it looks like it's a fairly poofy scarf. So I want that to be represented in how the shadowing lays on the reindeer. By no means am I a professional colorist, but I do think that it turned out really great. And then here is the test. Did I get this back in the same spot so that it will stamp again nicely? Yes, I did. This is probably the first time I've ever done that. And you guys can't hear it because, of course, I don't have audio when I do my videos, but I was pretty excited when I managed to stamp that and have it line up perfectly. And I am going to die cut this out because I said I got the matching die with this little stamp set. And I'm going to run it through my Sizzix Sidekick just because it's such a small die. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to use my switch because the plates are so big, even though I even have the smaller plates. Sometimes it's nice to just use these tiny die cut machines when you have such a small die. And there is no rhyme or reason as to where I added highlights to this. Honestly, I love to add the white highlights. It really, to me, makes them feel more alive. Like, it just kind of adds, I don't know what the right word is for that. It just adds something extra that really ties the image together. And then I decided to also add little polka dots to the scarf. And anytime that my white gel pen seems to stop working properly, I actually just run it along my thumb. And I find that gets the ball, like the warmth of my finger gets the ball to shift again, and then it seems to work again really well. So I haven't had any issues with my gel pen not working properly. I have heard other people complain about them. That's kind of my tip. If you're struggling a bit, try that. Just draw a little circle on your thumb until the ink comes smoothly, and then use it and see if that works for you. Because that's what I do. And I have found that it works pretty great. And then there, yeah, so you see that I added the little polka dots on the scarf. I think that was adorable. And then we're going to start adhering the layers together. I did choose to use Nuvo Deluxe glue for this. No rhyme or reason. This bottle is almost empty, so I'm trying to use it up. So you can see that I'm always fairly liberal with my glue, but I was a little extra liberal there just because I really want to use up this bottle. I've had it forever, and it's very at the near of the end of the life there. So I'm trying to kind of use it up so I can work on my new one. And then to stamp home my sentiment, this sentiment came in the same stamp set as that little reindeer did. And it just says Merry Christmas in a really fun scripty font. And I am going to stamp it out. I used a Simon Says Stamp transparency grid sheet. That one actually fits in the mini Misti, but I generally don't use my mini Misti very often anymore. I just find the medium size to be pretty great for almost every project, unless I'm doing something on a larger scale. Then I do bring out my bigger Misti because I own all three sizes. My husband greatly bought me the big one, I think two Christmases ago. And so I use that one when I do a really big project. But as a general rule, the medium one is perfect for all the projects. And that grid transparency sheet was actually sized to the mini Misti, but I just use it in my regular Misti. So that's a little thing. I don't actually know if they've made one for the medium one, the medium-sized Misti. I'll have to look. I think it's just the small one, but it works perfectly, so I just use it. And then I did adhere down that panel to my A2 base with the same Nuvo Deluxe glue, and then I brought in an action wobbler to go on the back of my reindeer. I've been having a lot of fun with the interactive cards lately, and I thought that this would just be a really fun thing to add to this little kind of, it's not a really in-depth card. Like, the card is fairly simple, other than we, colored the images. But, I mean, the card itself isn't super, I wouldn't say that it's simple necessarily, but it's also not over the top either. So I think this little action wobbler just adds a little something extra and makes the card kind of feel even more special. Because if you open that in the mail and this little wobbly reindeer came out at you, like, how cute would that be? Like, look how, like, that's just so cute. I love it. And then I did have to add a couple of my sequins. These are pretty subtle. I love them just because they add so much beautiful shine to a card. So I do tend towards them when I want to add something sparkly, but not over the top sparkly. And they're just the Vanilla Luster sequins from Studio Katia. And I just kind of adhered them. I've been using my reverse tweezers for this just because I find them easier to lay sequins. But you could use an embellishment wand as well. But yeah, that is the card I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it turned out super cute. I'd love to know what you guys think. Also, make sure to come back and join me on Saturday. I am a part of a really cool hop, and there will be some prizes. So if you can tune in, make sure that you do. And then you can check out the card that I've made for that hop and the prizes that are going to be given away from that hop. And that's Saturday at 7 a.m. PST, which is what time my videos always go up. So that is everything I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.